Life improvement is not an accident. It requires intentional action. Many people drift through life hoping that one day their circumstances will magically shift, that luck will suddenly appear, or that success will somehow land at their doorstep. But the truth is, life does not operate that way. If you want a better life, you must be deliberate about it. Improvement is not something that happens by coincidence. It is the result of vision, decision, and persistent effort. Just as a farmer does not expect crops to grow without planting seeds, watering them, and tending to the soil, you cannot expect your life to flourish without actively nurturing it. Every step toward growth must be taken with purpose, because nothing worth having grows by accident. When we look closely, the moments in life that bring progress are almost always the result of a choice. Someone chooses to start exercising, and their health improves. Someone chooses to learn a new skill, and their opportunities expand. Someone chooses to break a destructive habit, and their relationships heal. Behind every meaningful transformation is a decision that says, I will no longer live passively. Change begins when we stop leaving our future in the hands of fate and start shaping it with our own actions. Intentional action also means understanding that there is no neutral ground in life. You are either moving forward or slipping backward. There is no standing still. Time will pass whether you act or not, but if you choose to act with purpose, you can make that passing time work in your favor. This requires courage, because taking control of your life means taking full responsibility for it. It is easier to blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck than to admit that our choices have led us to where we are. But the moment we accept that truth is the moment we take back our power. The world often tries to convince us that some people are simply born lucky, blessed with the right opportunities, the right connections, or the right timing. Yet history is filled with examples of people who started with nothing, faced enormous challenges, and still built extraordinary lives, not by waiting, but by acting. They understood that luck favors those who are prepared, and preparation is always intentional. So if you want to see your life improve, begin by identifying what needs to change. Set clear goals and commit to them. Do something every single day that moves you closer to the life you envision. You cannot control the winds of life, but you can adjust your sails. Every small, purposeful action compounds over time, turning possibility into reality. In the end, a better life is not a matter of chance. It is the inevitable result of living with intention. When you choose to take ownership of your future and act with purpose, you position yourself for growth, transformation, and fulfillment. The choice is yours today and every day. Change begins with a conscious choice to step out of your comfort zone. Nothing transforms until a decision is made, and that decision must be intentional. Life offers countless opportunities. A choice is like a key. It unlocks doors that would otherwise remain closed. Without the willingness to choose a new path, you will continue walking in the same direction, seeing the same scenery, and experiencing the same results. The moment you decide to change, you shift the course of your life. Stepping out of your comfort zone is not always easy. Comfort feels safe because it is familiar. You know the boundaries, you understand the patterns, and you face few surprises. But what many fail to realize is that comfort zones are also prisons. They keep you from growing, stretching, and discovering your true potential. The walls of safety can quickly become the walls of limitation. If you want something greater than what you have now, you must be willing to walk into territory you have never seen before. This is why the power of decision is so critical. A decision does not merely express a wish, it commits you to action. You can hope for change for years, but hope alone will not bring it. It is the decision that says, I will take the first step, that sparks momentum. The path may be uncertain, but the first step is always the most important. When you make a decision and act on it, you set a chain of events in motion that begins to shape your future in new ways. The mind plays a central role in this process. Every decision starts with a thought, and that thought must be strong enough to push you through the resistance that change brings. Doubts will arise, fear will whisper reasons to turn back, and the comfort of the familiar will tempt you to stop. But if your decision is anchored in a deep conviction, if you truly believe in the value of the change, you will press forward despite the discomfort. It is important to remember that every major breakthrough in life begins with a single decision. choosing to learn a new skill, to change a habit, to speak up when you have been silent, or to move forward after a setback. These are choices that can alter the entire course of your story. Some decisions may seem small in the moment, but they create ripples that grow over time. So never underestimate the power of deciding. It is the starting point of transformation, the spark that lights the fire of progress. When you choose to step out of your comfort zone, you're telling life that you are ready for something greater. That choice is not just about changing your surroundings. It is about changing yourself. And when you change yourself, the world around you begins to change as well. Stop waiting for external conditions to improve. Take ownership of your direction. Many people live as though their future depends entirely on forces outside their control, waiting for the economy to get better, for the right opportunity to appear, or for someone else to make things easier for them. This mindset leaves life in the hands of chance, and as long as you think that way, you will remain stuck. True growth begins when you decide that no matter the conditions, you will take action with what you have, where you are right now. It is easy to blame circumstances for a lack of progress. You might say, I can't start until things settle down, or I'll move forward when the time is right. But life rarely presents the perfect moment. Conditions will always have challenges. There will always be uncertainty, opposition, and reasons to delay. If you wait for everything to align before acting, you may spend your entire life waiting. The truth is, progress is created, not given. You have to make things happen, not just hope they happen. Taking ownership of your direction means accepting full responsibility for where your life is heading. It means understanding that your results are not dictated by luck, but by your choices. While it's true that circumstances can be unfair, they are not the ultimate deciding factor. Your response to them is. Two people can face the same situation, yet one thrives while the other falls behind. The difference lies in the decision to take control rather than surrender to circumstances. Ownership also requires shifting from a reactive mindset to a proactive one. A reactive person waits for life to happen and then responds. A proactive person decides what they want and moves toward it regardless of what is happening around them. They understand that they can't control every event, but they can control their actions, their effort, and their attitude. When you take responsibility for your life, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your environment and start seeing yourself as the author of your own story. This mindset shift is empowering because it means you are never truly stuck. Even in difficult situations, there are steps you can take, small decisions that move you forward. The more you act, the more momentum you create, and the more opportunities begin to appear. By taking ownership, you remove the limits that waiting places on your potential. In the end, life will not hand you a better future simply because you wish for it. It responds to the decisions you make, the actions you take, and the persistence you maintain. Do not wait for permission to live the life you desire. Choose your path, take responsibility for it, and walk it with determination. The moment you stop waiting and start acting, you begin to shape your future instead of being shaped by. Identify and replace habits that keep you stagnant. Every life is shaped by patterns, those repeated actions, thoughts that either move you forward or keep you locked in place. If you want change, you cannot simply add new things to your life while holding on to old, unhelpful habits. True transformation requires clearing away the patterns that drain your time, energy, and potential, and replacing them with ones that lead you toward your vision. Habits are powerful because they operate in the background. Many of the things you do each day happen without much thought, yet over time they determine the direction of your life. If you have a habit of procrastination, you may not notice the damage it causes at first, but years later, opportunities will have passed you by. If you have a habit of negative thinking, you may not see the walls it builds until you realize how limited your life has become. This is why self-awareness is so important. Until you recognize your patterns, you cannot change them. To break free from stagnant habits, you must first identify them honestly. Look at your daily routines and ask yourself, are these actions helping me grow, or are they keeping me where I am? Be willing to confront uncomfortable truths. Sometimes the very things we cling to for comfort are the same things that keep us from moving forward. This might be excessive entertainment, unproductive relationships, unhealthy lifestyle choices, or even mental patterns that feed fear and doubt. Once you have identified these habits, the next step is replacement. It's not enough to simply stop a bad habit. You must fill that space with a better one. If you remove something without replacing it, you leave a gap that will eventually pull you back into the same old pattern. For example, replacing hours of mindless scrolling with a dedicated time for reading, learning, or skill building can dramatically shift your growth. Replacing self-criticism with gratitude and affirmations can change the way you see yourself and the opportunities around you. The process of replacing habits requires patience and consistency. You won't erase years of ingrained behavior overnight, but small, steady changes will compound over time. Each time you choose the new habit over the old, you are building a different version of yourself. Over weeks and months, that version becomes stronger, and the old patterns lose their hold. Remember, your habits are the invisible architecture of your life. If they are weak or destructive, your foundation will crumble no matter how hard you work in other areas. But if they are strong, purposeful, and aligned with your goals, they will carry you forward even when motivation fades. Change your habits, and you change your direction. Change your direction, and you change your destiny. That is how you move from stagnation to progress, by replacing the patterns that hold you back with ones that propel you forward. Trust that purposeful change leads to growth, even if the path is uncertain. One of the greatest obstacles to change is the fear of not knowing what lies ahead. People often hesitate to step into new territory because they cannot see the entire road before them. They want certainty before they move, guarantees before they act. But life does not work that way. The most meaningful transformations happen when you take steps forward without having all the answers, trusting that each step will lead you closer to something greater. Purposeful change begins with clarity of intention. You must know why you are making the change, even if you do not yet know all the details of how it will unfold. This why becomes your anchor when doubts arise. If your reason is strong enough, it will carry you through the uncertainty. For example, a person who changes careers might not know exactly how the transition will work, but if their purpose is to live a more fulfilling life, that purpose will keep them moving when the path feels unclear. Growth often hides in places you cannot see until you arrive. The unfamiliar path challenges you in ways that force you to develop new skills, new mindsets, and new strengths. You may encounter difficulties, but those very difficulties shape you into the person who can handle the opportunities you seek. In this way, uncertainty is not a barrier. It is part of the process that prepares you for the life you are building. Trusting the process means resisting the urge to turn back when you cannot see immediate results. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, it is tempting to abandon a path if change does not happen quickly. But real growth is gradual. Like planting a seed, you may not see anything happening at first, yet beneath the surface, roots are forming and life is taking shape. The early stages of change often feel slow or invisible, but they are essential for lasting transformation. It is also important to remember that purposeful change does not guarantee a straight or easy path. There will be twists, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But each challenge carries lessons that refine your character and sharpen your vision. Sometimes the growth you gain along the journey is even more valuable than the goal itself. When you walk into change with trust, you release the need to control every outcome. You understand that you cannot predict everything, but you can control your effort, your mindset, and your persistence. That trust becomes a source of peace, allowing you to move forward without being paralyzed by fear. In the end, purposeful change is an act of faith, not blind faith, but faith rooted in the belief that your actions today will shape a better tomorrow. You may not see the full picture yet, but every intentional step you take is drawing it into focus. Trust the process and you will find that the path, though uncertain, leads exactly where you need to. Change often demands courage to face the unknown. The moment you decide to step out of the life you know and into a new chapter, you are confronted with uncertainty. This is where fear tries to speak the loudest. It whispers reasons to stay where you are, to avoid risk, to cling to the familiar. And yet every meaningful transformation in history has required someone to push through that fear and take a step into what they could not fully see. Without courage, change remains a distant dream locked behind the walls of hesitation. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. Many people wait until they feel ready to make a change, but readiness is a rare visitor. The truth is, you will rarely feel completely prepared for something new. The timing will rarely seem perfect. The doubts will rarely disappear. That is why courage is so essential. It bridges the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Even when you cannot see the entire path, the unknown can feel threatening because it removes the illusion of control. In the comfort of the familiar, you know what to expect. You can predict the challenges and measure the risks, but the moment you step into something new, you are faced with unpredictability, and yet it is precisely in that unpredictability where growth is found. The unknown stretches you. It forces you to develop new skills, think in new ways, and discover strengths you did not know you had. History is filled with examples of those who chose courage over comfort. Great inventions, life-saving discoveries, and movements that changed the course of nations all were birthed by individuals who dared to step into uncertainty. They faced resistance, obstacles, and failures, but their courage propelled them forward. The same principle applies to your own life. While your change may not alter the world on a global scale, it can completely transform your personal world. Courage is built through action. The more you step into unfamiliar territory, the stronger your courage becomes. It's like a muscle that grows with use. Each time you face the unknown and move forward, you prove to yourself that you can survive discomfort, that fear's predictions are often wrong, and that progress is possible even without guarantees. It's also important to remember that courage is contagious. When you choose to face the unknown, you inspire others to do the same. Your willingness to take risks can become the spark that ignites change in those around you. In the end, the unknown will always be part of the journey. But rather than seeing it as an obstacle, you can see it as an invitation, an opportunity to step into a larger version of yourself. Courage is the key that unlocks that door. And when you walk through it, you discover that what once seemed intimidating was actually the gateway to your greatest growth. True life transformation happens through daily disciplined actions. Grand visions and big dreams inspire us, but it is the small, consistent steps we take each day that turn those dreams into reality. Many people wait for a burst of motivation to begin or believe that one big effort will suddenly change everything. But lasting change is rarely the result of a single event. It is the outcome of steady commitment over time. Discipline is the bridge between intention and accomplishment. You can have the best plan in the world, but without the daily effort to carry it out, it will remain nothing more than words on paper. The habits you build and the routines you maintain are what move you forward, even when you don't feel inspired. There will be days when you feel tired, when distractions call for your attention, or when progress seems slow. Discipline keeps you moving through those moments. Small actions may seem insignificant at first, but over time, they create powerful results. Just as drops of water can wear down stone, consistent effort can break through barriers that seem unmovable. Reading a few pages of a book each day may not feel life-changing in the moment, but over a year, it can fill your mind with new knowledge and perspectives. Exercising for a short time each day may not seem transformative at first, but it builds strength, health, and confidence over the long term. Consistency also builds trust in yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on yourself. This self-trust is critical because it becomes the foundation for bigger challenges. When you know you can keep small promises to yourself, you gain the confidence to take on larger goals. On the other hand, when you repeatedly abandon commitments, you train yourself to doubt your own words and intentions. One of the challenges with daily discipline is that results are not always immediate. We live in a culture that values quick wins, but meaningful transformation takes time. This is where patience plays a role. You must be willing to invest in the process, even when you cannot yet see the payoff. Think of it like planting a seed. You do not dig it up the next day to check its progress. You water it, give it sunlight, and trust that growth is happening beneath the surface. The combination of patience and discipline creates unstoppable momentum. Over weeks, months, and years, your consistent actions accumulate into visible change. What once felt difficult becomes second nature, and the discipline that once required effort becomes a part of who you are. Transformation is not about perfection. It's about persistence. You don't have to do everything at once. You only have to keep showing up every day for the life you want to create. And when you do, discipline becomes your greatest ally, carrying you steadily from where you are to where you are meant to be.